Send the light, send the light, the blessed gospel light, let it shine from shore to shore. Send the light, the blessed gospel light, let it shine forevermore. We have heard the Macedonian call today, send the light, send the light, and the golden offering at the cross we lay, send the light, send the light. Send the light, the blessed gospel light, let it shine from shore to shore. Send the light, the blessed gospel light, let it shine forevermore. The last verse. Let us not grow weary in the work of love. Send the light, send the light. Let us gather jewels for a crown above. Send the light, send the light. Send the light, the blessed gospel light, let it shine from shore to shore. Send the light, the blessed gospel light, let it shine forevermore. Thank you. Have a seat. We were talking, Mike was talking about him and Debbie being back in the class last week with the kids, with the preschoolers. And they had nine preschoolers in the class, and you never know. If 1 week it's 9, and next week Debbie told him before have 5. Debbie said you're probably going to have 5 kids, and it was 9. Of course, it's an 8 by 12 room, so that's a lot of kids in a little room. And tonight there might be 4. I had no idea how many's back there, but I got texts, a couple different families, like the kids aren't home. One goes with their dads, and the other kids aren't home, and these families aren't coming, so aren't going to be here tonight. So now I know the numbers. It goes like this every week, so you never know. We just show up and see what happens. Ask God to do something. I got a email from David Westbrook. He was here about 12 years ago. He was a missionary to Australia, New Zealand, and I got an email from him yesterday. Read the email, and he's been there for 10 or 12 years now. And he said you never know how many people will show up. And he said their average. When we get that for you, Alan? Yeah. Hello. It's Rihanna. She ought to be in church too. But he said their average attendance is 33 on Sunday morning, and they've had a high day of 55 in 10 years that they've been there. He said, but God meets with them every week, and they have a great service. I mean, it doesn't matter the number. We've got the thing on the wall: 2 or 3 gather. Where 2 or 3 gather together in my name, they're in the midst of them. If you gather together, we've had prayer meetings with 2 people, have a great time. So it doesn't matter. But we never know back here in the classrooms, and you think. You need help, okay? Martin, can you unlock that door back here? Mark must have dropped Sue off. She got here before he did. He got off work late. All right. Anybody have a prayer request? Spoken request? Okay. Pray that it'll go well. Okay. Oh, okay. I did not know that. Tammy and I stopped and saw her at the nursing home Saturday before last, I think. Okay. Very good. And she's been in the bed because of back problems, I guess. She's been out there in the nursing home in bed for probably 10 years, something like that. It's been a long time. I'm never really able to get up, I think. Okay. All right. Someone remind Tammy of that too after. Yes, sir. Okay. Time. Right. Okay. Anybody else with prayer requests? Okay. Anything else? Any unspoken requests that we want to pray about? Let's go, Lord, in prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity to be in your house tonight, Lord. Thank you for the opportunity we can come to you and make our petitions known to you, Lord. We do that. We pray for those that are sick, that with healings coming, Lord. I pray that you'll bless those families and grant healing. I pray where the time is coming and they know that healing is not an option and they're not really looking forward to healing, Lord. I pray that you work in the hearts for those that are lost, that they'll see Christ, see the need for Christ as their Savior. And I pray for those Christians that know that their time is near, that they'll be a light to those around them in this dark world that we live in. I pray that you'll bless all the requests, Lord, the problems they have, the homes that have problems and the special needs. I pray that you bless their service tonight, that we'll bring honor and glory to you and bless all of our classes in the back. We'll see kids saved and lives changed. In Jesus' name we ask. Amen. Hey, I want to have one announcement, and that is August 11th. That's 2 weeks away. We'll have a start your engines back to school Sunday, and we'll have a special store for the kids. We're collecting school items. The list is posted back here by the office. And see Miss Tam if you have any questions about what to bring, but there's already a list back there, and there's always things you can look in my office over here on the side. There's stuff on the table, there's things we're bringing in, and we have stuff for all the teachers and the teachers' helpers. A gift for all the teachers. Charlie said he wanted Excedrin because All right, does anybody have testimony before we go to play? God's blessed you in some way. You want to tell everybody about it. Going once, going twice. I know I say this often, but I remember Kingdom Baptist Church when we first got saved. They really didn't have a lesson on Wednesday night. They didn't have Bible study much on Wednesday night. It was more of a testimony time. And there was every week there was people testifying because the adults were just, I don't know, most of them were recently saved that were at that church, and they were just excited about being saved and wanted to tell everybody about it. So they were out witnessing, and they come back in on Wednesday night and say, "Oh, I talked to so and so last night, and pray for him. God's working on his heart." So. God blesses us in a lot of ways. Anybody with testimony? Going once, going twice? Okay. Open 1 Kings chapter 20. 1 Kings chapter 20. First Kings chapter 20. Now, I'm going to, once you find it, look up this way, I'll kind of review just a little bit where we're at. The last couple of weeks, we'll be talking about Elijah and Ahab, King Ahab. And Elijah is a man of God. He's a prophet, man of God. And King Ahab is the worst king up in at this point in history. God says that he's the worst king Israel's ever had. He marries Jezebel, and Jezebel introduces Baal worship, and everybody leaves God and starts worshiping Baal, and they're bowing down, kissing the ring or kissing the foot of Baal, whatever they're kissing, something on him, and they're bowing down to this false god who cannot answer prayer, cannot do anything for anybody, but they're bowing down to this false god, and everybody knows it's a false god, but it's the popular thing to do to worship it. Marlon, can you open that door back here? Okay, thanks. All right, so anyway. So he's the worst king ever, okay? And a lot of things have happened up to this point. I'm not sure exactly when this time, God gives the illustrations like the last two chapters we looked at this, where there's Elijah goes to him, the preacher goes to him and says, "It's not going to rain until I say it rains. It's going to rain. It doesn't rain for 3 years. There's a drought." We know the story. Most of us know the story. There's a drought for 3 years, and people are starving to death, and finally, Elijah shows back up after 3 years, and God's taking care of Elijah the whole time. And there's a lot of miracles in his life, but everyone else is kind of starving. And so he shows up to Ahab and says, "Gather your men together, gather your false prophets together, and we'll have a contest." And he said, "You try to get." They offered a sacrifice, the morning sacrifice, and the afternoon's evening sacrifice, and the false prophets laid wood on the altar, laid stones down, laid wood on the altar, killed a young bull and laid him on the altar, and they cried for hours for their God to answer, and their God, of course, could not answer. So Elijah did the same thing. He laid stones down, 12 stones as taught in the Old Testament, laid wood on the altar, laid the bull on the altar, and fire came down and consumed everything that was there on the altar. Okay, all that happened just to show Ahab that God is God. God is real. God has specific things. He says, do this and don't do this, and don't worship idols. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. All these things that God has said, and Ahab has neglected or rejected everything that God has said. Okay, this story we're going to read a little bit of tonight. I'm not sure if this happened. It's laid out in scriptures as if it happened after the time when Elijah met with Ahab, or it may have happened before, because a lot of times God just kind of crosses things over, telling you this story and then this story, but it might not be chronologically in order. Okay, so 1 Kings chapter 20, verse 1. We're going to read just a few verses. Okay, I want you to keep your Bibles open. We're going to skip around quite a bit in this chapter. Then Ben-Hadad, king of Syria, gathered all the hosts together, and there were 32 kings with him, and horses and chariots, and he went up and besieged Samaria, that's the capital city of Israel, and warred against it. And he sent messengers to Ahab, king of Israel, into the city, and said unto him, Thus saith Ben-Hadad, Thy silver and thy gold is mine, thy wives and thy children, even the goodliest are mine. And the king of Israel answered and said, My lord, O king, according to thy saying, I am thine, and all that I have. Really? Stop reading right there. Look at this way. They surround the city. The Syrians come down and surround the city of Samaria. Ben-Hadad sends messengers in and tells Ahab, the king of Israel, said, I'm going to take your wives and your children and all your gold and silver. And Ahab says, okay, you can have them. No. Hey, he didn't like his wives and kids or whatever. I'm not sure what the deal was with that. But he said, that's fine, you can have them. Okay? So the messengers go back out to him, but he says, okay, you can take them. Bad jokes want to go through my mind, about Ahab's wife. We know it's Jezebel. Jezebel's never been a good name, then or now. But we know it's Jezebel. He might have been thinking, okay, you can take her. And the rest of them too. I mean, the other wives he had, but you want her, you can have her. And so they go back out. They go back to Ben-Hadad and say, he can say you can have them. Well, tell him I'm going to take everybody. I'm going to come through, ransack his house. Or the next couple verses. I'm going to ransack his house, and anything that I think is good, we're going to take. I'm going to go to all his neighbors around the palace. He lives in a nice house. And all his neighbors are going to go through their houses and take everything we're taking. Okay? And they said the messengers come back in this time and tell Ahab that. And Ahab said, no, that's not going to happen. You can't come in. Okay? Now, if you just want Jezebel and the kids, you can have them. But as far as going through let's read this, verse 5. The messengers came again and said this is Ben-Hadad's messengers, the Syrian king's messengers. Go back to him. Thus speaketh Ben-Hadad, saying, Although I have sent unto thee, saying, Thou shalt deliver me thy silver and thy gold and thy wives and thy children, yet I will send my servants unto thee tomorrow about this time, and they shall search thine house and the house of thy servants, and it shall be that whatsoever is pleasant in thine eyes, they shall put it in their hand and take it away. That means they're going to go through your house and take what they want. Okay? Not just you're going to say that woman's your wife, you can have her, that's your kid. You might have lied about who the kids were or whatever. Then the king of Israel called all the elders of the land and said, Mark, I pray you, see how this man seeketh in mischief, for he sent unto me for my wives and my children, and for my silver and my gold, and I denied him not. And all the elders and all the people said to him, Hearken not to him, nor consent. Don't listen to that guy. Don't do it. Don't what he says. The city is surrounded by the Syrians. The Syrians can come in and take anything they want, okay, at this time. Wherefore he said unto the messengers of Ben-Hadad, Tell my lord the king, all that thou didst send for to thy servant, at the first I will do. Still got Jezebel in mind, you can have her, okay? But this thing I may not do. And the messengers departed and brought them word again. And Ben-Hadad said unto him and said, The gods, plural, the gods do so to me, and more also, if the dust of Samaria shall suffice for the handfuls of all the people that follow me. He's got such a big army come after that is following me. He's got 32 kings. I got such a big army behind me that if they ate the dust in your land, there wouldn't be enough dust to fill them up, let alone the food. Okay? And the king of Israel answered and said, Ahab starting to man up just a little bit. He said, Tell him, let not him that girdeth on his harness boast himself as he that putteth it off. That means you fight this fight. He said, you want to boast that you're going to win this fight. He said, don't boast until the fight's over. Okay? So finally, Ahab started to man up just a little bit and said, okay, you can't have Jezebel and the kids. And it came to pass when Ben-Hadad heard this message as he was drinking. Every time you read about Ben-Hadad, he's drinking a lot. As he was drinking, he and his pavilion, he and the kings in his pavilions, they said unto his servants, set yourselves in array. They set themselves in array against the city. Stop reading right there. Okay, I want to picture this. Here's Samaria. It's the capital city of the northern kingdom of Israel. Okay? They're surrounded by the Syrians. They can't number them. There's so many of them. And there's no way they can win this battle. Okay? And Ahab finally is saying, okay, we'll fight. Okay? We have to fight, but I don't know how to do this. Okay? So God sends a preacher down to talk to Ahab. Because all of Ahab's life, up until this, he's the king of Israel. Okay? And we think of Israel as God's chosen people. And they like to claim, and even at this point, they like to claim that they are God's chosen people, but they've forsaken God completely. They turn their back on God completely. And Ahab is there saying, what we're going to do. Okay? So God says, I've been trying to send you messages all your life. Will you listen this time? Okay? So he sends a preacher in to see him. A preacher he doesn't know, but he knows him. He's a man of God. Verse 13. We'll read this. I want to read a lot tonight. So it's easy to story to follow along. And behold, there came a prophet, a preacher, unto Ahab the king of Israel, saying, thus saith the Lord, hast thou seen all this great multitude? Behold, I will deliver it into thine hand this day, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord. And he said, you can't win them. You can't beat them by yourself. But I'm telling you, the preacher shows up to tell the king, you can win this battle. You will win this battle. And the only reason you're going to win this battle is so that you will acknowledge who God is. That's all that God wants you to do. To Ahab, I want you to acknowledge who he is. You're going to win this battle. And Ahab says, I don't know how to lead the battle. Read the next couple verses. Read on, verse 14. And Ahab said, by whom? And who's going to lead it? And he said, thus saith the Lord, even by the young men of the princes of the provinces. That means you got kids around here that are going to fight that battle. Then he said, who shall order the battle? Who's going to be in charge? And he answered, thou. Then he numbered the young men of the princes of the provinces. There were 232. That's not very many. And after him he numbered all the people, even the children of Israel, being 7,000. So he's got 7,000 men to go into battle against. We'll read later on, there's more than 100,000 people. Okay? 7,000 going out against 100,000. And they went out at noon. But Ben-Hadad was drinking himself drunk in his pavilions, and he and his kings, and the 32 kings that helped him. And the young men of the princes of the provinces went out first. And Ben-Hadad set out, and they told him, saying, there are men come out of Samaria. And he said, whether they be come out for peace, or take them alive. And whether they be come out for war, take them alive. He's drunk, he says this. So these young men of the princes of the provinces came out of the city, and the army was followed them. And they slew every one of his men, and the Syrians fled, and Israel pursued them. And Ben-Hadad, the king of Syria, escaped on a horse with his horsemen. And the king of Israel went out and smote the horses and chariots and slew the Syrians with a great slaughter. Stop reading right there. Ahab thinks it can't be done. God says, I'm going to take your young men. I'm going to take your kids out there. 232 young boys are going to go out and face the battle first. And your 7,000 men are going to fight behind them. And you're going to defeat the Syrians, and the Syrians are going to run. The Syrian leaders are all drunk, and so they say, hey, take them alive. Okay, and it doesn't work out so well, and so they all get on the camels and run off. Okay, so Israel defeats the Syrians that day, and the Syrians go back and they gather around. They go back and they come back a year later and they say, well, the Syrians, Ben-Hadad's counselors come to him and say, well, the Israelites' gods are the gods of the plains, because they live out there in the desert area. The gods of the plains, but they're not the gods of the mountains. So let's fight them up in the mountains this time, and we'll defeat them. Okay? Well, they fight the next time. The next year they come out to fight again, and the prophet comes to Ahab, does the same thing. You're going to win this battle too, and the only reason you're going to win this battle is so that you will acknowledge God, so you will know who God is, and the Syrians will know who God is. And of course, in the next battle, there's over 100,000 Syrians that die in the next battle. Okay, so these 7,000 men of Israel that go out and fight against them, kill 100,000 of them, get 100,000 of the Syrians, plus a wall falls over on the Syrians, and 20,000 people fall when this wall falls on them. Brother John, there's an awful lot of people that die in the Bible. Yeah, it's a violent life for these people, okay? In all this time, God keeps saying to Ahab, I just want you to know who I am. You can't do that. You can do this with my help. You can't do that on your own. You can brag on yourself, but it ain't gonna help. You can't accomplish anything that you want to accomplish on your own, but I can help you and you'll do more than you could ever think if you'll just acknowledge me. Look down at verse 28. This is after the second battle, if I remember right. Verse 28. There came a man of God speaking to the king of Israel and said, Thus saith the Lord, because the Syrians have said, the Lord is the God of the hills. This is before the second battle. But he is not the God of the valleys. Therefore will I deliver this great multitude into thine hand, and ye shall know that I am the Lord. And the only thing God wants Ahab to do is to acknowledge, to know who God is. And Ahab still refuses. He doesn't care. I don't care if we win or lose this battle. I'm not going to acknowledge God. Really? When I look at that, that's stupid. Okay? That's like the Titanic. Even God himself, the statement made before the Titanic set sail, God himself cannot sink this ship, right? And no matter what happens, we're not going to acknowledge God. And he's the king of Israel, God's chosen people. But he, led by his wife, has led Israel to walk away from God, to turn their backs. You've heard this illustration. If someone's facing the right direction, going the wrong direction, it's called backsliding. What this is called is apostasy. When you're facing the right direction, you say, I don't care what God says, I want to do what I want to do anyway. It's called apostasy. Turn your back on God completely. Okay? And that's what Ahab is doing. And it doesn't matter what happens. God cannot prove himself. Shouldn't have to. But he cannot, no matter what he does, Ahab's not going to acknowledge it. Okay? When I read that, I think, that's stupid. My thinking, okay? A lot of drinking. Okay? But a lot of drinking on the Syrians' part. It doesn't say there's a lot of drinking on Ahab's part. That's on every time the Syrian king is mentioned, Ben-Hadad, he's drinking. Okay? Okay. God promised victory. So Ahab would acknowledge it. The Syrians would acknowledge it. But they don't. Okay? Neither Ahab nor the Syrians acknowledge God. Verse 28, you shall know that I'm God. Okay. After they defeated the Syrians twice, the Syrians sent ambassadors to Ahab, and they said, let's make peace. Okay? Because they know they can't beat him. And they don't know why these just few thousand guys can destroy us every time. The Syrians have no idea why. Let's read a little bit. Look at that. Look at verse 31. This is Ben-Hadad's servants talking to him. Okay? And his servants said to him, Behold, now we have heard that the kings of the house of Israel are merciful kings. Let us, I pray thee, put sackcloth on our loins and ropes on our heads and go out to the king of Israel, peradventure will save thy life. I mean, it's good because they're met up in a cave. The Syrians are now met up in a cave and they don't know what to do. So let's go out and see this king, see if he'll do something. They put sackcloth that's like burlap sacks over their clothes. They put ropes around their necks, like you can be in charge, you can lead us, you can take control of us. We're going to yield to you. Okay. So verse 32. So they girded sackcloth on their loins and put ropes on their heads and came to the king of Israel and said, Thy servant Ben-Hadad, I pray thee, let me live. And he said, this is Ahab speaking now, is he yet alive? He is my brother. Okay, wait a minute. Here's the king of Israel calling Ben-Hadad. He's still alive? I thought they were all dead. Yeah, I'll take care of him. He's my brother. Okay, he's stupid. Okay, this is where apostasy has caused Ahab to lose his mind, because he's talking about the guy that wanted to kill him or kill everybody he knew. This is about the guy who wanted to take his wives. Well, he was going to let her take Jezebel. He wanted to take his wives and his children and all his gold and his silver. He was going to be fine with it. This is the guy that wanted to take everything he had, and he said, "Oh, he's still alive? Well, sure. We could be friends." And to me, it's ridiculous. Okay. Now the men, that's Ben-Hadad's servants, are talking to Ahab, verse 33. Now the men did diligently observe whether anything would come from him, and did hastily catch it. And they said, thy brother Ben-Hadad, then he said, go you bring him. And Ben-Hadad came forth, and he caused him to come up to the chariot. And so he kisses up to Ben-Hadad as if everything will be all right. They fought again a year later. Okay. In all of this, Ahab will never acknowledge God. And when God delivers Ben-Hadad to him, and really wants him to slay Ben-Hadad and all the Syrians, and God killed 20,000 himself by knocking a wall over on them, and really allowed them to win by allowing them to kill 100,000 men. In all of this, Ahab still won't acknowledge what God says. And it blows my mind when I see other people going through situations or circumstances in life, and they still won't acknowledge God. Well, you just don't know what talking about. People told me this. You just don't know what I'm talking about. I find biblical principles for everything we do. Why we should do this and why we shouldn't do that. Okay? And this is why we don't do that. This is why we don't live that way. This is why we want you to live this way or that way. And this is biblical principles for everything we do. And it blows my mind to say, no, you just don't get it. You just don't understand. Maybe I don't. Maybe it's my inability to comprehend. I know what worldliness is, okay? I know what it's like to live in the world and be a heathen person, be a lost person. I know what it's like to be lost, and I know what it's like to be a child of God. I know what the difference is. I've experienced the difference in my life. But what's the right word? What's a preacher used to say, frost my pickle. It really gets to me when I think, is this what you want? Okay. Recently, a couple of ladies were here. I think Marcia was here and Michelle was here. I think a couple people here. And I said, I want you to stand on the porch and we're going to knock on the side of the boat over there. Okay? I know there's people there because they look out the window or they come over and knock on the door and Michelle or somebody's here. But if one of the ladies is here by themselves, they'll come over and knock on the door. But if I'm here or in the minute here, they won't come out. Okay. So I go over to knock on the side of the boat. Is anybody there? I know they're there. You're inside. I know. I can hear you breathing. Okay. I know you were there. Hey, the curtain thing moved a while ago. And you put a towel up there and the towel's gone. Okay. I want to go and say, is this what you want? When you were a kid growing up, is this what you dreamed of, living in a boat? Okay. Somewhere along the line, I think you know, want to acknowledge God and ask Him for help. Okay. Y'all with me on this? Okay. I met this guy that had been married and divorced 5 times, and I said, "Don't you think?" And he said he met all of his wives in the same beer joint. Okay, and I said, "Don't you want to like try drinking somewhere else? Maybe I don't know. Change it, go to a different fountain." Okay, but in my mind, I thought. And I try to be nice about it, but I want to say, don't you understand that you're going to repeat the same process over and over and over again? Let's try something different. Try this. Okay? You ever work on something and not work out right, and you work on it and do the same thing over again and it still don't work right? Okay? Thomas Edison invented the light bulb, but he tried like 600 times. He tried over and over different times until he got it right. He didn't do the exact same thing every time. He tried something different until he got it right. Right? Why don't people try this? It works every time. Okay? Right? You take anybody in this room or anybody you know that has a problem with their finances, and you find biblical principles as to what to do with their finances. Okay? Which includes tithing and giving. Pay your bills first, do whatever you're supposed to do, but no matter what your financial problems are, if anybody that has financial problems, if you say, okay, if you do this, you follow these principles, guarantee God's going to meet your needs. Use scriptural reasons for it. You start going back all the way to the Old Testament, to Abraham, and coming forward about tithing. It's a biblical principle. But you go back to giving, it should be given unto you, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, so shall be given to your bosom. We've given Tammy, I've been tithing since we got married, or before we got married. So it's been a few years. I can't remember, 37 years since we got married, 39 years, almost 40 years, 39 years since we got saved. So we've been tithing basically the whole time. God's met our every need. Okay? Twice in our lifetime, most of you know these stories, twice in our lifetime, we quit good jobs to take a lesser paying job or take a 60% cut in income because we thought that it was God's will for our life, going to college, and then by the time we graduate college, moving to Virginia to go full-time in the ministry, you take another big cut in pay to go full-time in the ministry. But each time, God provided everything we ever needed. Okay? Is that right, Tammy? Have we ever gone hungry? Obviously not. Okay? I don't think we've ever been late on our bills. Okay? That's making no money. Okay? For the most part. It's always, if you follow the principles that God says, lays out the principles, it's okay, don't do it. But why people say, that might work for you, but it's not going to work for me. Why? Okay? God provides every need. God makes promises. He provides the needs. He gives victory over victory all the time. And in the provision or in the safety or whatever he gives, he always says, I'm doing this so you'll acknowledge me, so you know who I am. Okay? And I'm doing this, sometimes I'll put you through a trial. Hey, I was back here before church talking about her health issues and Bruce's health issues, both of them with the cancer thing. Since we understand that every one of us goes through the trials, right? Your friend Mark that has the health issues, okay, we understand every one of us either has gone through them or we will go through them. Everyone's goes through them, whether it's the financial problems or the health problems or the marriage problems, whatever it is, and God says, okay, let me show myself to you. Okay? All you got to do is this. Now, the truth is, we're all going to die eventually. Okay? Unless Jesus comes back. If he come back today, we'd be playing tag with the angels, and we don't have to go pass through death. But the truth is, we're all going to die eventually. But God says, let me bless you in some other way. Okay? Let me give you something else. I know the health issues, we're going to decline. We know that. Okay, Solomon talked about that. Okay, in Ecclesiastes. We know that's going to happen. But the truth is, God says, let me bless you in another way. Okay, let me give you something else. Let me give you principles. Okay, most men never acknowledge what God has done in their life. I know people that are successful in business. That any conversation you have with them, they'll tell you God has blessed them. And the reason they're successful in business is because God has blessed them. I know other people that are successful in business that would never acknowledge God for anything he's done. Both these people might have the same size business. Both these people might have the same size bank account. One of them is going to have a lot more joy than the other. Okay? Because the one who acknowledges God is going to say, it's better than what I deserve. Preacher, you say that all the time, remember? How you doing? Better than some, worse than others, but I'm doing better than I deserve. Okay? I'm doing a whole lot better than what I deserve. Most men will never acknowledge what God has done. Like Ahab, we like to take credit in our victory. Now, Ahab sent 7,000 guys out, destroyed 100,000 men. Do you think he sat back in them days and said, boy, aren't we good? We kind of laugh at it. That's exactly what he did. He wouldn't acknowledge that God did it. He would not say, thank you for the victory. You are God. And the Syrians over here scratched their heads saying, man, we got the best army in the world. We had 32 kings backing us up. We had the best captains. We got the best training. We had the biggest army. We outnumbered them 16-1. And they still defeated us. How'd that happen? And we've heard that those kings are merciful kings, so we'll go back to him and he'll let us live. Which is kind of silly. But they would never acknowledge that God is God, that there's only one. Okay? They always wanted to go back to, well, they won because their gods are gods of the plains, and the next year we'll fight them in the mountains. And then they lost that one too, so well maybe we'll fight them somewhere else. Maybe we'll go to sea next time because maybe we'll find the gods of the seas will help us. And it doesn't work. All God asks is that you acknowledge him. Hey, acknowledge him. Every area of your life, give him praise. and then seek his will. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. All the things you want in life. God says, if you seek after me, I'll give you this stuff. Okay? You got any questions on this? Pick an area. You got a question, you think, well, how do you handle this? Okay? What do you do with this? What's the biblical principle for this to do here? To acknowledge him is to give him praise. You read through the Psalms, David said it too. I think David said it in the Psalms. If God wanted a lamb or a bullock, he offered it if that's what he wanted. If God wanted a sacrifice from me, he doesn't want that. He wants to hear my voice praising him. Okay? He wants you to give because he wants you to give. He wants to bless you for giving. And it's not about tithing, not about me getting money. He wants to bless you for your being obedient to him. Okay? Acknowledge him, give him praise. That means you go around singing, I do this all the time. To God be the glory, great things he hath done, so loved he the world that he gave us his son. And if he gave us his son, is there anything he could hold back from us? Okay? Is there anything he wouldn't give us? What does Matthew 5, I think it is, if a father, okay, Marlon, if Charlie was hungry and asked you for bread, would you give him a stone? You give him a loaf, right? If he asked for a fish, would you give him a snake? I can see some dads doing that. I can see my dad doing, hey, look what I found, son. Okay, just for the fun of it. Okay? Yeah. Ask for a fish, give him a polish, right? But we know how good gifts to our children. How much more would our Heavenly Father give good things than us? Okay? But it all comes down to acknowledging him and say, okay, I need your help. But not just because I want something. Okay? I want to know who you are. That's where I'm trying to get to. Ahab still refused it. He had perfect opportunities for him to turn from Baal to God. He didn't do it. Fire on the mountain. He's standing there watching his false prophets leap back and forth and cut themselves with lances, jumping over a dead ox. And they're waiting for fire to come down from their God. And their God can't answer. And he knows their God can't answer. There's 450 of them marching around in a circle singing songs. Okay? Kumbaya, and it doesn't work. Okay? And then he watches the man of God, Elijah, walk over on this side. He prays a prayer. I think we read last week. It's like 23 words. And fire comes down from heaven, consumes the ox and the wood and the stones and the water that they poured on top of it, and consumes it all. And Ahab still wouldn't acknowledge God. He went back and told his wife Jezebel, said, you know what Elijah did? He killed all your preacher boys. 450 prophets. He killed every one of them. Okay? Not that God did something. Elijah did it. That's what Jezebel said, kill Elijah. Fire on the mountain, unconvincing. There's still not more to learn about Ahab. They will not acknowledge. Okay? Why won't you just say, okay, God, what do you want? Well, at one point, okay, I read a story when I guess it was in college at the time when I read the story about a man who was a drunkard. And no matter what happened in life, the only thing that mattered was he got a drink. Okay? His child died. His 4-year-old daughter died. He went to the casket, took his shoes off, sold the shoes to get drinking money. Okay? He had to have it. He had to have the alcohol. Nothing else in his life at that time mattered. Okay? Eventually he got saved and told these stories and all this stuff that he did. He eventually became a good man. But he went through all this stuff and would never turn back to God until later on in life and say, acknowledge what you've done. Good or bad, I will acknowledge what you've done. Life is not about dumb luck and circumstance. It doesn't happen that way. It's about whether we acknowledge God or God. No. We praise him, give him glory for what he has done, and say, okay, help us. We need your help. Okay? Most of us go through life, we like to brag on what we've done. A lot of people never want help from anybody else. I heard this story of a young man who had a Model T Ford that broke down. He's on the side of the road trying to work on that Ford. a car pulled up behind him. The driver got out of the car, went to open the door, and an older man got out of the car, went up and said, "Let me help you with your car." What's wrong? Let me see what's wrong with your car. And the young man looked at the old guy and said, "Get out of here, old man. You don't know what you're doing. Leave me alone." So Henry Ford turned around and got back, and his driver opened the door. He got back in his car and drove away. Okay? He wouldn't. The kid didn't want help. Well, I don't need any help. I'm fine. Okay? You can try to sit there on the side of the road too and let Henry Ford drive by or not help you when he wants to. And we go through our problems in life and never acknowledge God for asking for help. Or we say, "No, I can't do this on my own. I really need help." Okay? I love having Josiah at our house. He's helping stuff. Okay? There's certain things he can do, certain things he can't do. He says, "Help, Papa." Okay? Our niece and her husband and their son was at our house last week. Tara and Jake and Liam. Liam's 3 years old. Is that right, Tim? 3. He'll be 4 Christmas. Liam doesn't talk. Okay? Did he say anything? He's autistic, so he doesn't. He's autistic. He has some health issues, whatever. He loves to be outside. I guess he can't play outside of his house. Where they live in North Carolina, I've never been to the house. I don't know what situation it is. Maybe they're close to the road or whatever. I don't know. He gets it. He didn't want to come inside. Okay? He'd go over at the kitchen door. If you saw him Sunday morning, I'm not going to imitate him because someone might think I'm mocking him. I'm not mocking him. He'd go to our kitchen door and he couldn't open the door. Okay? We locked it for a reason. We don't want him and Josiah going outside, going outside the fence, outside the boundaries, whatever. So the door's locked from the inside. So he'd come back and grab my hand. And we're doing, Liam. And walk through the house. Put my hand on that kitchen door. And he wanted outside. Okay? I said, "Get away, kid. Get away, kid. You bother me," W.C. Fields. "Get away, kid." No, I didn't. I said, "Get his shoes. He's going outside." When he wanted help, no matter what right, Tammy? We only had him for 2 days. Okay? He was 3 years old. We'd never seen him in his life other than pictures. Okay? And who knows when we'll see him again. So when he wanted to go outside and put my hand on the door, put his shoes on him. Okay? I'm going to do whatever this kid wants to do, right? He loved it, okay? And I don't think autistic children cozy up with strangers very quick, right? Is that right? Okay. He did with us, right, Tammy? He's always, he ate and everything. Everybody eats in our house, but he was just, put his hand on the door, lead you there. He didn't say outside. Josiah can say outside, but he's like, "Okay, we got it. I know what you want." I think God's the same way. Wants to help us. Call him to be an alliance and show the great many things that thou knowest not. He wants to, if we'll just acknowledge it. Any questions? Once, went twice. You may go through it and you think, "You mean to me? I'll get even with you." That doesn't work. Okay? I trust you. You know what's best. Let's pray. Thank you, Lord, for loving us. Thank you for the truth you give us in your word. I pray for these Christians here tonight that aren't trusting you for life, that are disobedient, that you'll help them understand, look at their own life and say, "Well, maybe I'll acknowledge you on this stuff. Maybe we need your help." I pray if there's lost people here tonight, or people in the sound of my voice, if this goes out across the internet, that there's lost people here that see their need for Christ and I trust you as a Savior. I pray in every area of our life we'll acknowledge you, turn to you, trust you, and walk with you. Seek your will, find the principles and the boundaries, and stay within the boundaries and love the life that you've given us. And give honor to you. Thank you for your blessings. Please bless our church family. In Jesus' name, amen. So I'll stand to sing. Page 328, Come Thou Fount. Our invitation song is a tremendous song. Page 328. 328.
Come thou fount of every blessing, tune my heart to sing thy grace. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. Teach me some melodious sonnet, sung by flaming tongues above. Praise the mount I'm fixed upon it, mount of thy redeeming love. Here I raise mine Ebenezer, hither by thy help I'm come, and I hope by thy good pleasure safely to arrive at home. Jesus sought me when a stranger, wandering from the fold of God. He to rescue me from danger interposed his precious blood. Oh, to grace, how great a debtor daily I'm constrained to be. Let thy goodness, like a fetter, bind my wandering heart to thee. Prone to wander, Lord, I feel it, prone to leave the God I love. Here's my heart, oh, take and seal it for thy courts above.
All right, thanks for coming out tonight. Charlie, will dismiss us. Amen. Thanks for coming out.